Hello everybody, my name is Tenelin, and Final Fantasy is down for its 24-hour maintenance. The patch notes for 7.2 have been released, and we are going to go ahead and take a look at those and see what's going on. Now, I have glanced through all of these already. There are a couple of things that are a little more interesting and unexpected changes, but overall, these patch notes are pretty much exactly what we expected. Let's go ahead and just go through them all, though. Just as a quick note, I'm just finding out Dawntrail is 30% off. So if you don't have it, this is probably as good a time as any to get it. So this patch is called Seekers of Eternity. I'm not going to talk too much about the MSQ just in case I don't want to spoil anything for those who haven't seen it. But a couple of notable things that you need to make sure you understand is that Cosmic Exploration as well as the Relic Tool quests are not going to be coming out until patch 7.21. which I believe is April 22nd. I can double check that real quick here. Yes, so that is on April 22nd. And then also we'll have 7.25, probably about a month after that, so sometime in May, which will give us the Mamulja Allied Society quest, along with the Occult Crescent, which is our new exploration zone, and the Relic Weapons. There will be apparently some Hildebrand quests in that as well. So just keep that in mind that 7.2 is going to be structured out in a couple of months of content patches where the majority of the stuff is coming in 7.2, and then we will have another patch in a month and then another patch in a month after that. But everything that is coming tomorrow is listed in these patch notes. So let's go over what we've got. Obviously, we have some new MSQ quests, a decent amount of them, which will include a trial and a dungeon. And then we also have our new raid tier, which the Savage will come out in 1 week from tomorrow, which is on April 1st. And I know this one might get me yelled at in the comments, but I haven't done the Corn Servant quests. Apparently, they just keep getting added and everybody loves them. I need to go spend some time doing those. Maybe that's what I'm going to do before Cosmic Exploration comes out, because this little guy is so loved in the community. So, there's another quest for that one. Go enjoy that. We do have some new treasure hunt items. It looks like we're going to get some new rewards for treasure maps, and the rewards in the treasure dungeons themselves are going to be adjusted. I'm not really sure what we're going to see there. I am interested to see. They haven't shown off anything that I can think of that might be the rewards for this. Most likely there's going to be a new material to craft some sort of level 1 all classes glam. That's my best guess. I think they showed off one. Yeah, I think they showed off one in the live letter that I don't remember seeing anything about. So maybe that's coming from the reward dungeons. We have some new submersible things, a bunch of new housing items that they're showing off. Oh, this is actually showing off, I don't know what SSAO is. Some sort of lighting setting, I guess. I mean, I noticed the difference, but I'm not really sure I understand what that's about. We're finally getting the 2022 Furnishing Design Contest winners. So a bunch of new items there. I really like the outdoor. I like this little stepping stone, and of course the fountain is adorable. We have some new indoor furnishings as well. I wonder if any of these are going to be from the treasure dungeons. I know this is going to be from the new Extreme Trial. What's up with this Monsters Inc. looking door? Okay. Horror venues are going to be happy about that one, I think. A nice new lighting and a tree. You always love new trees. Some new orchestrion rolls, obviously, coming in with, especially with MSQ, probably from the trial. Now, I don't know if this is an existing fish. This might be a new big fish that we're getting added, or just maybe some kind of new fish in general. I know that it was something that they talk about later with a new bait for catching a couple new fish, so we'll have to see what that one's about. New flower pots. Okay. New MGP prizes. I have a very good feeling that one of these is going to be a mount that they've shown off, so make sure you go check out those vendors. Just some miscellaneous stuff about duty support, changing up the challenge logs to have a field operations section since we're getting our third one. I think this is a good organizational change. All right, for Wondrous Tales, we're getting some new prizes from gold, silver, and bronze commendations. Great change. Look forward to seeing what those are. We have some new Wondrous Tale duties. That's to be expected. Now this thing, the duty roulette names have been adjusted. And now, listen, I get why they had to do this, because it is incorrect. They didn't actually change any of the roulettes, but saying it's between 51 to 79 is incorrect, because you can't get a level 70 and you can't get a level 60. As well, for this one, you can only get level 50 and 60 dungeons. You can't get 51 through 59. So I get why they had to change it, because it is incorrect in a sense. But man, are these new ones are such tongue twisters. Leveling dungeon 51 through 59 / 61 through 69 / 71 through 79. Whew. I would love for them to just give these some sort of arbitrary name that the community could just use. I don't know. Like, give me leveling dungeons first 3 expansions or something like that. I don't know. I understand the change. It works. It's not a big deal. It's just such a weird, it's a weird thing to see in your, when you go to look at your roulettes. Next, we are getting a new Unreal. We're losing the Jade Stoa, and we're gaining Hell's Cure. I'm very curious to see how this one works. I didn't get to play Hell's Cure at the time of its release, and I have heard so many memes about people falling in the hole and how difficult that fight is, so I might have to give this one a try. I really actually like the new mount that they're adding for Faux Leaves. This is actually kind of cute, as weird as it is. I kind of like it. The Duty Recorder, I wish this would get some more love. I don't really understand it, but, you know, it is what it is. We have a new emote. This is a Daze or Stun emote. I think this is really cute. I'm a big fan of this one. I wonder if this will be loopable or if it's just a one-time. But speaking of looping, we're getting a Tombstone and a Read option as a loopable emote for free. If you had these emotes already, they're going to be called Tome Scroll and Study. We'll finally be able to doom scroll in Final Fantasy. It's great. I really like these. I always wanted to get a study emote to just continually do that one. And the Tombstone, I know the community wanted that one for the longest time. So, good changes. Don't have to do anything. If you had them already, you automatically unlock them. I know, I'm a crafting and gathering channel. I do play the battle system. I do play Savage Raids. I play a couple of different, more difficult content. I haven't as much lately, so I'm not going to touch on the jobs too much. Overall, we're getting some decent changes. It looks like all of the tanks are getting buffed, especially with their AoEs. They're getting a little bit of a buff for additional targets that they hit with some of their skills. These changes look great. The monk changes, I've never understood monk. I'm not going to get into many of these, especially because I'm just not the expert on these. A lot of other YouTubers will cover all of these job changes. You're better off getting your news from them because they're going to be better informed than I am. The only thing that I'm going to say is I'm going to touch on the Pictomancer real quick because I do play a lot of Pictomancer. I understand that there's a little bit of controversy in the community. A lot of people think Pictomancer is a little too strong, and obviously its numbers were pulling a lot higher than others because it had one obvious strength over other classes, pretty much every other class in Final Fantasy. It can really take advantage of downtime in fights. Being able to paint on your canvas gives you a lot of extra strength for you to burst very quickly when the enemy reappears. From what I'm looking on this, it looks like what they did is removed a lot of the power from the muses and the canvas painting spells by quite a bit. They reduced these by a significant amount overall, and then they moved that potency over to your standard fire and red, arrow and green, water and blue, and then I'm assuming as well your blizzard, magenta skills, you know? So instead of getting a lot of your potency in your bursty skills, which you were able to take advantage of the downtime to prep for yourself, they've put them into the 1-2-3 combo where you have to have a target. That's my understanding of this. Again, I'm not the expert on combat, but I do think this is a good change. It seems like this will probably solve the problem of Pictomancer being a little bit too strong. Take that with a grain of salt. Don't trust anything I say. I'm not the expert here. And we got some dot potencies for healers. Cool. I won't touch on the Black Mage. There are people way more invested in Black Mage than I am that will be able to get you way more information on this. One thing that I will touch on for combat especially is this. We are finally able to queue for potions, food, and sprint. Now, for those that don't understand what this means, you used to, when you're doing your opener in a fight, you're trying to use a potion to buff your stats in a certain spot right before your burst window so that you can do additional damage, because the potion lasts for 30 seconds. Now, the problem was that, especially for potions, you weren't able to queue them. Like, you aren't able to press the button and then the game will use that skill or use that potion next, which you can do with a lot of skills in Final Fantasy. It's something you don't really think about, but if you're doing your 1, 2, 3 combo, you press 1, you start to do that animation, you press 2, the game will automatically start to do that skill next. Now with potions, they were very, very hard to actually get off because they were very, very hard to actually use because you couldn't queue them. Essentially, you just had to spam that button and probably give yourself like a half a second to a second of don't press any other buttons so that you guarantee your potion goes off, and then you can do your burst window. It was disruptive, it felt bad. This has been a change that the combat community has been asking for a very long time, so I'm glad to see this. And we talked about this already, we're getting a new dungeon for the MSQ. Sorry, I'm going to go ahead and just make this a little bit bigger, so sorry about that jump in size there. One of the changes that is kind of hidden here is that any boss encounter in any dungeon prior to patch 7.0 now has the shortcut warp go directly to the boss's arena. That's really, really good. This is a change that they kind of introduced at the start of 7.0 with all of the dungeons that were after 7.0, and they said they were going to retroactively do it, so I'm very happy to see this quickly, especially for every single dungeon. Instead of having to run 30, 40 seconds every time you have to reset on a boss, you're just going to be put in front of the arena. Good change. New trial, not going to talk about it, don't want to talk too much spoilers, looks really cool though. And down here is where they show off the Hell's Gear, the new Unreal. If you are one of the people that got unlucky and had to farm 99 of the totems for either the Extreme 1 or 2, you can now purchase your mount. You go to this vendor in Solution 9. Sorry about your luck. We have the new raid that we've mentioned before, where we're going to be fighting a Disco Bun Boy and a Splatoon Lalafell. These look really cool. I'm very excited for these. They showed off a little bit of the footage in Live Letter, and they look really fun. So I am very excited to try these out. You'll get the standard tokens in the normal raids that you can trade in for the normal gear from them, and then as well, the Savage will be out a week later, as I mentioned, on April 1st. And looks like, I'm not sure exactly what time. I don't know if they did list exactly the time in here. We'll see as we get further in here. Some changes to Echo and drop tables and previous things. Oh, and actually, I think I passed it over here. Here it is, yeah. So, bonus experience rewards for all of these Alliance raids for the completion of doing these. This is good. I'm happy with this. I think Alliance raids don't give enough experience for how long they are. I think a lot of people avoid doing them because of it. So, nice little boost in experience there. And they finally did nerf the best farm for experience from the 90 to 100. The bosses for the level 90 raids. I can't disagree with it. The farming was insanely fast. So instead of giving the experience from the bosses themselves, which you were able to use one of the experience, the Menfina earring to boost, that's probably just been moved over to the completion of the raids so that your Menfina's earring doesn't help you as much. And as expected, we are getting a new tombstone, the Mathematics. This will mean that your heliometry will be your new uncapped level 100 tombstone. The aesthetics are going away. You'll be able to exchange these into heliometries at one of the vendors at probably a 4-to-1 ratio. And both your causality and comedies are going away permanently. So I do hope that you turn those in for poetics, but it's not a massive deal if you didn't. It's poetics. You can farm a lot of them very easily. So, of course, we are getting that full change over to how the new tombstones work. Heliometry will be your general level 100, and then mathematics will be your new 450 a week capped tombstone that we're going to be getting. We're going to get new expert dungeons. It's only going to be the field station and the underkeep, and then we are going to get a new level 100, or as they're calling it, the level cap dungeons, that will have all 3 of these dungeons in there for a roulette. So we will have 2 different level 100 roulettes, the expert, and then another one with just these 3. I like this. This is going to be fun. Just more things getting added to duty roulette. We're going to go ahead and skip over all those. This is just the standard formality. Nothing in here is getting changed numerically. It's just the names, just the heliometry and mathematics instead of the aesthetics and heliometry. I did double check and nothing here that I saw was getting a new value, so we're good to go there. Same with this. The hunts are getting changed over into what you get, but none of the numbers are changing. Okay, so PvP. I am going to touch base on this because I do find PvP pretty fun in Final Fantasy. I like to do my daily front lines, and I do a little bit of CC as well. Overall, there's just a couple of little buffs for monks for tanks and monks, and kind of the AoE size of everything is just getting increased a little bit from what I've seen. A couple little potency changes. I'm not going to talk class to class specifics, but one of the things that I do want to touch is the large-scale PvP duty-specific roles. Now, these are really cool. Essentially, there is a tank, a melee, fizz range, magical range, healer. All of them are getting a selection of 3 skills. You get to pick one of these when you go into things like front lines, and I'm assuming like rival wings, any of the large-scale PvP. Now, these are really, really interesting. They're essentially like ultimate skills for your class. Now, one of the ones that really stood out to me is Full Swing on tanks. This is a 8,000 potency attack with a 30 Yulm knockback, but it removes guards from any enemies that it hits. Now, I don't know if maybe this is just single target, and that's what I'm kind of seeing now as I look at it again, but still, it's very strong. I mean, they have the ability to use Rampart or Rampage. All of these are really strong. This is all nearby enemies, so yeah, okay, maybe Full Swing is a single target. Okay, not as strong as I thought it would be, but Rampage is pretty good. Everything around you gets 25% damage taken increase. That just seems, they seem fun. They seem very enjoyable. I like all of these. Melee DPS though, Smite is crazy. Is this not just a kind of weaker ninja LB that all melees can get? You can do up to 18,000 damage to anything under 25% health, and if you actually get a killer assist with it, your timer is reset. This is just ninja LB, or for my league players, Pike ult for all melee DPS. It's crazy. Fizz range are getting a couple of really cool new things. They're all going to have the ability to ignore guard and do up to 12,000 potency attack on them. As well, you have Dervish, which reduces cast time and recast time of spells and weapon skills by 10% and gives a 25% move speed buff to you and your nearby party members. Magical range DPS has Comet, which really, they showed this off in the live letter. It's a full lockdown spell where you are just summoning comets down for the entire duration. There's no way to cancel this spell, but it looks really cool. It has a pretty good AoE, and it does a lot of damage. A couple of these I'm kind of glancing over, but just take a look at all of these. These are going to be very fun, especially for front lines. Healer getting a 10,000 potency barrier for everyone around them, or doing an 8,000 potency attack that reduces HP recovering effects by 25%. These are going to be substantially strong. It's going to change up a lot of how frontline plays. And as well, if you glance through here, they've reduced the execution and effect activation time, so essentially just speeding up PvP in general for so many skills. There is a ridiculous amount of skills here. I think Frontlines and PvP in general is just getting a lot more sped up, which is good. I think a lot of people complain that is a little bit too slow. Having this faster paced PvP will be interesting, so I'm very excited to try them out. But with all of that said, this is the best part. We're getting previous PvP series rewards for trophy crystals. Now, they don't talk about which ones we are getting exactly, but it's a great step forward. I am hoping to see them bring back all previous PvP series rewards over time for people that have missed them. Probably the level 25 reward track from the new PvP series. I really like this. I love this little spider mount. I really hope it moves all creepily. I love spider mechs. They're just cool. So, very excited to see this. I want to get this as fast as I can. Oh, and I kind of forgot that there are frontline specific changes as well. Looks like just some damage reduction stuff and some minor tweaks on some numbers. If you don't know, they did show off the new Secure. It's finally coming back. It's been gone for, oh, I don't even remember how long it's been gone for, but this was one of my favorite frontline maps, so I'm very happy to see this back. They did show off a little bit of the new mechanics in this in the live letter. Very fun new way to play this game mode. I'm excited to see how this plays out. I hope you are as well, as this was probably my favorite one. I just really like the style and the forcing you to fight in the center point for all of the different nodes, which seem to have gotten more important. Now, I believe this is the new normal raid gear, which I know fans of old Final Fantasy games are freaking out over. I actually think it looks pretty good as well. I really like the tank glam overall. I think it's just that classic fantasy look. I know we've been getting a lot more of the sci-fi looks in Dawntrail, so I'm sure people are very happy to see this. This is the new crafted combat gear that we're getting as well, which is very Tural inspired. I actually think this looks pretty nice. I know a lot of people are freaking out because we have one thing that you can see here. We have a Bun Boy with some ears sticking out of its hat, and we have a Hrothgar with a hood up. These are things that should be standard, but, you know, maybe with some more time. Those are what we're going to be getting and crafting if you've been following this channel. This is the gear you're making, so get ready for that. They did confirm in Cosmic Exploration, we're getting some new dyes, especially some metallic dyes. So they are changing up the dye interface because they are adding more of those. And we have a decent list of 2 dyes that are getting added. A lot of these look like they are some of the older relic weapons. I believe these are the Boja ones. So a lot of those are getting some dye wells, which I'm very excited about. The Paladin Boja relic is one of my favorites. So definitely going to have to see what that looks like with some dyes on it. Overall, though, there is just a lot of stuff on this list. I think a lot of it is Mog Station as well. 2 new hats that are gender neutral now. Now, I don't know if you've used the Glamour Dresser, but it is one of the best additions that they've put out recently, which will help you save a lot of glamour space. This is essentially a system where instead of storing an individual piece of gear, you can instead store the entire set as a single glam, even still using only individual pieces. I hope that makes sense, but they've added in some new ways to show off that you can use it as a glamour outfit, or if you already have it as a glamour outfit. So these are both good changes. Will make just a little bit easier time instead of having to like do an item search or check your glamour dresser to see if you have things. Now on to the crafting and gathering section. We have new miner and botanist gathering points. Now, something that I put in my early patch strategy guide that I put out yesterday, I was incorrect. So I'm going to correct myself. Somebody did inform me of this, and the patch notes have confirmed it as well. The legendary folklore nodes are going to be new nodes. You don't need new folklore books or anything. You're still set, but they won't be related to the existing time nodes that we have. So you will have to look and see where these new nodes are once 7.2 comes out. Obviously, I'll cover that in my guide as soon as I get that out for everybody, but I just wanted to make that correction from yesterday. And, of course, we're going to have new gathering items in those nodes. I'm not really sure what the new gathering points adjustment's going to be for Yoctel. Maybe that's just related to that, or just some of the other nodes are getting moved around slightly for something else getting added to the zone. And now I'm wondering if this is going to be like a buff on our buff bar or something like that, instead of having to look only at the interface for collectibles. Curious to see, or maybe it's going to be a visual effect on your character. That's going to be interesting. We do have new fish, which I assume is part of that one that we saw earlier in the aquarium. And we have these fish that are able to be fished with a golden stonefly nymph bait. One of my favorite things to see in these patch notes, even though it's very, very minor, is a quality of life feature for crafters. We're now going to be able to push these buttons to select all high quality or all normal quality when we're making a craft. It really isn't that big of a deal, but I'm very happy to see it. It makes the interface just a little bit easier to use. So thank you very much for adding this. Getting an increase to our desynth level. We're going to... Now, this one I don't understand. Level requirements for master crafting recipes have been removed. Are they just saying that you could technically craft something at 99 if you could get the stats for a level 100 master craft? I mean, you're not going to be able to get the stats anyway, so I don't know why this matters. It's a weird change that I don't really understand. Let's not talk about that. That's spoilers. We got new chocobo barding. Cool. A new dog, and I think they showed off about 7 or 8 new minions for this patch, if I'm remembering right. Maybe it was 5 or 6, but a good amount. And finally, new faceware. I'm very happy to see this. I really like the eye patch. My only hope is that these will come in multiple different colors like the other faceware. I would assume they would, just because every other faceware has. So I might be rocking an eye patch for a little bit here. And now we have the graphical update section. I'm not going to cover too much of this, but I am going to make a point here. I did put out a video that showed off that you could get a free Fantasia before patch 7.2, and now because of the character model changes that they're putting out, we are getting another one that will be available to claim up until patch 7.3. It looks like it's in the exact same spot from the Moogle that's in Old Gridania, so make sure that you do grab this new Fantasia. We have shadow quality updates, we have a bunch of resolution updates, a ton of graphics on a bunch of gear have been improved. This is a pretty good list of gear that's getting some graphic updates. So hopefully we'll see some of those issues with the lower quality gear really sticking out, especially after the latest graphic updates. We have some more foliage changes, which honestly, this looks really good. These look like those fake plants that you see in office spaces. These look nice. They're really going back and adding a ton of different areas to get these graphic updates. We're getting some diadem upgrades, a bunch of cities and fields, some dungeons, raids, Eureka, Save the Queen areas, like all of these little things. This just the Ishgard stand that's just getting a general update of all of the items in it. This is some good work that they're putting in to really just update the world. Like, I am a big fan of everything that they're doing here, just adding a ton more foliage, making the world feel more alive. I like it. There's nothing I can really complain about this. This is all good uses of time, in my opinion. Maybe you have seen this because it's been talked about a lot. We are getting a new jog status. Essentially, anytime you use your sprint, once the sprint duration goes down, you stick in a jog status until you do something else that would deactivate it. It's slightly faster than your current walking speed, so it just overall helps you get around like towns and sanctuaries and areas a lot faster. Now this one I didn't really understand. It lists things by function. So are we going to be able to click like synthesis items or touch items only shown in the actions menu? That's what it kind of reads as, and it's a neat little change. I mean, I love anything that lets you put some searchability onto your menus just to make things easier to find. So cool. Getting some new targeting mechanics, especially for marking things. Some new retainer adjustments for the drop rates of the high-level field. I guess all of the retainer explorations. I wonder if this will make getting the neon lights a little bit easier, because I've been doing them for pretty much the entire expansion and I haven't gotten one yet. Minor little changes. Oh, new accents for your portraits. I really like this one on the right here. I need to figure out where that one's coming from. I wonder, actually, now that I'm looking at that, is that from the treasure dungeon? It kind of has the vibe of the treasure dungeon, the level 100 one, so maybe. And if you've cleared the latest ultimate, you are getting one of the coolest adventure plates. This thing is beautiful. G-pose is getting a change with the camera blur, and I actually think this looks a lot better than the current camera blur. I really hate that feature at the moment. I always have to turn it off whenever I'm doing anything recording-wise, but this looks nice. It looks a little bit more natural, and it has a little bit more scalability, so I'm curious to see how it actually works. It also looks like they are putting a lot of work into solving the problem that we had with Blacklist, especially with that third-party issue where people were able to obtain your character account IDs, and oh, it was a whole mess. I think this is an appropriate response. It looks like they've wiped all of the data that was able to be used that had that whole exploit and issue that was going on. So essentially, if you've blacklisted a character before, they will still be blacklisted. You'll just not be able to see what their name is. If you want to re-blacklist them to update your blacklist names, you can. But overall, it sounds like they fixed the issue. It just had a little bit of a minor inconvenience. shouldn't be anything that's going to change how the blacklist works for you right now if you've already been using it. Your mute list, though, everybody that you have muted is deleted. You will have to mute new people. We talked about this. We got the tome scroll, we got the study, and we got the dazed, that cool little chocobo stars above your head. Achievements, sounds, loading, some news, launcher options. That's about everything. I really am excited for 7.2. I really hope you are as well. Everything in here looks fantastic, and it hits about exactly where I thought we were going to get. I do think that the pacing of this patch is really well done. I'm very excited to see new content tomorrow, a month from now, and then a month from now again. I really hope that we have a lot of fun with the cosmic exploration, and then of course the new exploration zone for the relic weapons. So if you are looking to learn how to do the new crafter and gatherer gear, don't forget to subscribe, give this video a like, and I will have guides out tomorrow that will help you craft that new gear. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a good one.